Your brain is protecting your accent, and that's the problem.
Hello, and welcome back to our channel. So, John, how's your week been?
Productive, slightly chaotic. I tried learning a few phrases in Italian.
Oh, really? How did that go?
Let's just say my pronunciation was offensive.
Offensive?
Yeah, I said one word and the guy just tilted his head like I had invented a new dialect.
That's the worst feeling. You know the word, you've heard it before, but when it comes out of your mouth, it sounds wrong.
Exactly. And here's the weird part. I heard the correct pronunciation, but I couldn't reproduce it.
Do you think that's a tongue problem or a brain problem?
Definitely a brain problem.
Have you ever noticed that when you try to pronounce words in another language, it almost feels exaggerated?
Yes, almost embarrassing.
Like you're pretending to be someone else.
Exactly. And that's when it gets interesting.
Because today, we're not talking about grammar.
We're not even talking about vocabulary.
We're talking about your accent.
And why your brain might be protecting it.
Welcome back to Neurofluency,
Where we don't just study English.
we rewire the brain to think in it.
If English isn't your native language and you've ever struggled to pronounce certain words,
Or felt strange trying to imitate native speakers.
this episode is going to change how you see pronunciation forever.
The phonetic map. You know what's interesting? When you said your Italian sounded offensive, it wasn't because you didn't study.
Right, I knew the word. I had heard it multiple times.
But when you said it, something felt off.
Exactly. And that's when people blame their mouth. They say, my tongue doesn't move like that. I can't make that sound. I'll always have an accent.
But that can't be the full explanation, because babies can hear and eventually produce sounds from any language in the world. So what changes? Your brain builds a map, a phonetic map, and once that map is built, it starts filtering reality.
When you're a child, your brain can detect extremely subtle differences between sounds. Two vowels that adults think are identical, a child hears them as completely distinct. But as you grow, your brain optimizes. It keeps the sounds that exist in your native language, and it gradually stops distinguishing the ones that don't. Not because you're incapable, because your brain is efficient.
So if my native language doesn't distinguish certain sounds,
Your brain compresses them into the closest familiar category. For example, English might distinguish between two vowel sounds that your native language treats as one. To a native English speaker, they are clearly different. To you, they feel almost identical. Your brain says, close enough. And once two sounds are stored in the same category,
you stop hearing the difference clearly.
so this isn't about pronunciation yet. It's about perception.
Exactly. If you can't perceive the distinction, you can't reproduce it.
And here's where most learners go wrong. They jump straight to repetition. Repeat after me. Say it louder. Practice more. But if your internal sound map is slightly misaligned, you're just reinforcing the wrong pattern. It's like practicing piano with two keys swapped. Effort increases. Accuracy doesn't.
That explains something. Sometimes I genuinely think I'm saying the word correctly, but native speakers still look confused.
Because your brain believes it's correct. Your phonetic map tells you that's the sound. And your mouth follows the map, not reality.
Speech isn't just sound. It's perception, categorization, and motor memory working together. And once that system stabilizes in childhood, it becomes automatic. That's why changing your accent feels unnatural, not because it's impossible, but because you're challenging a system that has been running efficiently for decades.
So the real issue isn't my tongue.
It's the map my brain built years ago. And that's only half the story, because your brain doesn't just protect efficiency, it also protects identity. Why does exaggerating English intonation sometimes feel embarrassing? Why does sounding more native feel like you're pretending to be someone else?
In the next part, we're going to explore why pronunciation isn't just neurological, it's psychological. Muscle memory and speech automation.
Okay, let's say I train my ear. I finally hear the difference between two sounds. Why is it still so hard to pronounce them correctly?
Because now we're dealing with something physical. Your speech isn't just mental, it's muscular.
When you speak, your tongue, lips, jaw, and even your breath follow deeply ingrained motor patterns. You've been training those muscles since childhood. Thousands of repetitions every single day without thinking. That's muscle memory.
So my mouth has habits?
Strong ones, automatic ones. Your articulatory system has default positions. Your tongue rests in a certain place. Your vowels are shaped in familiar ways. Your rhythm follows a pattern you've practiced for years. And when you try to produce a new sound, your muscles want to return to what feels normal.
Think about driving. At first, every movement feels awkward. Clutch, brake, gear, mirror. Then, after enough repetition, it becomes automatic. Speech works the same way, except you've been driving your native language for decades.
So when I try to pronounce an English sound that doesn't exist in my native language, it feels exaggerated, almost dramatic.
Because your muscles are leaving their comfort zone. New tongue position, new lip tension, new airflow control. Your brain flags that sensation as unnatural. But unnatural doesn't mean wrong, it means unfamiliar.
And here's the important distinction. There are two layers in pronunciation: perception, your phonetic map, and production, your motor habits. Even if you fix perception, production requires retraining your articulatory muscles, slowly, consciously, repeatedly, until the new movement becomes automatic.
So when people say, "I'll never lose my accent," they're really saying, "I don't want to rebuild motor habits."
Or they don't realize that's what's required, because pronunciation isn't about trying harder, it's about building new muscle patterns through deliberate repetition. And that's where most learners quit, because changing motor habits feels uncomfortable. It feels fake. It feels forced.
But here's where it gets even deeper. Your muscles follow your brain.
And your brain doesn't just protect efficiency, it protects belonging. Why does sounding too native sometimes feel embarrassing? Why do some people unconsciously hold back their pronunciation improvement? In the next part, we're going to explore mirror neurons, imitation, and why accent is deeply tied to identity. And that's where this stops being mechanical and becomes social.
Mirror neurons and accent acquisition.
Okay, so we've talked about perception, we've talked about muscle memory, but you said something earlier that caught my attention, that pronunciation might be about identity. How does that connect?
Through something called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are brain cells that activate when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing that same action. They're part of how we learn by imitation. As children, we don't study pronunciation, we absorb it. We mimic our parents, our siblings, our social group, without conscious effort.
So accent is learned socially?
Completely. Accent is social alignment. Your brain constantly asks, "Who are my people?" And then it subtly adjusts your speech patterns to match them. Pitch, rhythm, intonation, stress patterns. Not because you're trying to, because belonging is neurologically rewarding.
Think about this. Have you ever noticed how your tone changes depending on who you're speaking to? With friends, relaxed. In a job interview, more controlled. Around family, maybe faster, louder, more expressive. That's your brain adapting socially. Accent works the same way.
So if I don't strongly identify with English speakers,
Your brain may resist fully imitating them, not consciously, subtly, because imitation is a form of alignment, and alignment affects identity.
here's where it gets uncomfortable. Some learners improve their vocabulary, they improve grammar, but they unconsciously hold back their pronunciation. They don't fully exaggerate intonation, they don't fully commit to new stress patterns, because sounding different feels like crossing a boundary.
When you exaggerate English rhythm, when you change your intonation, when you sound more native, a small part of your brain asks, "Is this still me?" That discomfort isn't about ability, it's about belonging.
That explains something. Sometimes when people imitate a strong accent, others laugh or say, "Why are you talking like that?"
Exactly, and your brain remembers that reaction. Social rejection is processed in the same neural circuits as physical pain. So what does your brain do? It protects you. It softens the accent shift. It keeps you within familiar territory, safe.
But the truth is, your accent isn't your identity. It's a habit formed by proximity, and habits can change. The real question is, are you willing to expand your identity? In the next part, we're going to talk about how to consciously retrain your phonetic map without feeling fake, forced, or embarrassed. And that's where pronunciation becomes a deliberate transformation, not an identity crisis.
This is where we give power back.
Rewiring the phonetic map.
Okay, so if accent is neurological, muscular, and psychological, how do we actually change it? Because I don't want theory, I want transformation.
Good, because pronunciation doesn't improve with effort. It improves with awareness and repetition in the right order.
Step 1. Train awareness before correction. Most learners start here. Repeat after me. That's backward. You don't fix production first. You fix perception. If two sounds feel identical to you, your brain needs contrast. That's where minimal pairs come in, words that differ by just one sound. Not long vocabulary lists, just two sounds placed side by side. For example, ship, sheep, full, fool, hat, had. You listen first, not speak. You train your brain to detect the micro difference. Because remember, if you can't hear it, you can't say it.
Step 2. Slow, conscious production. Once you can hear the difference, you slow everything down. Pronunciation training is not speed training, it's precision training. You exaggerate the mouth position. You exaggerate the vowel length. You exaggerate the stress patterns. Yes, it feels dramatic. That's the point. Your muscles need a new reference point. Small adjustments don't override old habits. Clear contrasts do.
Step 3. Shadowing for rhythm and intonation. What about sounding natural? Because sometimes pronunciation improves, but rhythm still feels off. That's because pronunciation isn't just sounds, it's music. English has melody, intonation patterns, stress timing, rhythmic flow. Shadowing trains this.
You listen to a short audio clip, and you repeat almost simultaneously, not reading, not translating, imitating rhythm, pitch, and pauses. You don't copy words, you copy music.
Step 4. Identity shift. Now the most important layer. You can train sounds, you can train muscles, but if you still believe, I have a strong accent, I'll never sound natural, this isn't who I am.
Your brain will hold back. So we replace that narrative, not with arrogance, with expansion. I am someone who can sound international, not abandoning your identity, expanding it. Accent becomes a skill, not a label.
So, pronunciation isn't about eliminating who you are. It's about adding a new version of yourself. And that's very different.
Because here's the final truth. Accent change isn't about perfection. It's about flexibility. Can you adjust? Can you adapt? Can you consciously reshape your phonetic map? If you can,
You're not just improving pronunciation, you're proving something much deeper, that your brain is not fixed. In the final part, we're going to bring everything together and show why your accent was never the enemy, your avoidance was, and that changes everything. The accent was never the problem.
So let me see if I understand this. My accent isn't happening because I'm bad at languages. It's happening because my brain filtered certain sounds. My muscles automated certain patterns. My identity protected familiarity.
Exactly. Your accent isn't a flaw, it's evidence of adaptation.
For years, your brain optimized for your native environment.
What helped you belong once may be limiting your flexibility now.
So the real question isn't, can I lose my accent? It's, can I expand my phonetic identity?
Yes, because you don't need to erase your native sound, you need control over variation.
True linguistic power isn't sounding native, it's being able to adapt, shift rhythm, shift intonation, shift stress patterns.
So the embarrassment wasn't inability.
It was resistance.
Your tongue was never the enemy, your brain was protecting stability. But now you understand the mechanism.
Perception can be retrained, muscles can be rewired, identity can expand. So pronunciation isn't about pretending.
It's about evolving. Train perception.
Train rhythm.
Train identity.
Follow Neurofluency if you want to stop fearing your accent and start mastering it.